all the
Hello everyone, I am Anj Gupta and I'll be starting off Trinity with Task 1 Television by Roselal. The most important thing we have learned so far as children are concerned is never, never let them near your television set. Or better still, just don't install the idiotic thing at all. In almost every house we have been, we have watched them gaping at the screens. They loll and slop and lounge about and stare until their eyes pop out. Last week, in someone's place, we saw a dozen eyeballs on the floor. They sit and stare and stare and sit until they're hypnotized by it, until they're absolutely drunk with all that shocking, ghastly junk. Oh, yes, we know it keeps them still. They don't climb out the windowsill, they never fight or kick or punch. And they leave you free to cook the lunch and wash the dishes in the sink. But did you ever stop to think, to wonder just exactly what this does to your beloved thought? It rots the sense in their head, it kills imagination dead. It clogs and clutters up the mind. It makes a child so dull and blind he can no longer understand a fairy tale, a fantasy. His brain becomes as soft as cheese. His powers of thinking rust and freeze. He cannot think, he only sees. All right, you'll cry, all right, you'll say. But if we take the set away, what shall we do to entertain our darling children? Please explain. We'll answer this by asking you, what use the little ones to do? How use they keep themselves contented before this monster was invented? Have you forgotten? Don't you know? We'll say it out very loud and slow. They used to read. They read and read and read and read, and then proceed to read some more Great Scott Gadzooks. The younger ones had Beatrix Potter and Mr. Todd, the dirty rotter, Squirrel Nutkin, Pliggin Brand, and Mrs. Tiggy Winkle, and just how the camel got his hump and how the monkey lost his rump. And Mr. Toad, and bless my soul, this Mr. Raid and Mr. Mole. Oh, books, what books they used to know, those children living long ago. So please, oh please, we beg, we pray, go throw your TV set away. And in its place, you can install a lovely bookshelf on the wall. Then fill those shelves with lots of books, ignoring all the dirty looks. The screams and yells, the bites, and then the kicks, and children hitting you with sticks. Fear not, cause we promise you that in about a week or two of having nothing to do, they'll begin to feel the need of having something to read. And once they start, oh boy, you'll watch their slowly growing joy that fills their hearts. They'll grow so keen, they'll wonder what they'd ever seen in that ridiculous machine, that foul, nauseating, unclean, repulsive television screen. And later, each and every kid will love you more for what you did. Now, I'll be moving on to task 2. Greta Thunberg's speech at the UN Action Climate Summit. This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words. And yet I am one of the lucky ones. People are suffering. People are dying. Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are the beginning of a mass extinction. And all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth? How dare you! For more than 30 years, the science has been crystal clear. How dare you to continue to look away and come here, saying that you're doing enough when the politics and solutions needed are still nowhere in sight? You say that you hear us and that you understand the urgency, but no matter how sad and angry I am, I do not want to believe that, because if you really understood the situation and still kept on failing to act, then you would be evil, and that I refuse to believe. The popular idea of cutting our emissions in half in 10 years only gives us a 50% chance of staying below 1.5 degrees global temperature rise and the risk of setting off irreversible chain reactions beyond human control. Now, 50% may be acceptable to you, but those numbers do not include tipping points, most feedback loops, additional warming hidden by toxic air pollution, or the aspects of equity and climate justice. And they also rely on my generation sucking on hundreds of billions of tons of your CO2 out of the air with technologies that barely exist. So, the 50% risk is simply not acceptable to us, we who have to live with the consequences. To have a 67% chance of staying below 1.5 degrees Celsius and the risk of staying below 1.5 degrees Celsius are the best odds given by the IPCC. The world had 420 gigatons of CO2 left to emit back on January 1st, 2018. Today, that number is down to less than 350 gigatons. How dare you pretend to say that this can be solved with business as usual and some technical solutions? That, and with today's emission levels, the remaining CO2 budget, that will be entirely gone within 8.5 years. There will not be any solutions or plans presented in line with these figures, because these figures are too uncomfortable and you're still not mature enough to say it like it is. You are failing us, but the young generation are starting to understand your betrayal. The eyes of all future generations are upon you. And if you choose to fail us, I say we will never forgive you. We will not let you get away with this. Right here, right now, is where we draw the line. The world is waking up and change is coming, whether you like it or not. Now, I will be starting with Task 3, which is The Adventures of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain. Tom appeared on the sidewalk with a bucket of whitewash and a long-handled brush. He surveyed the fence, sighed, and dipped his brush into the whitewash. Slowly, he began his work, dragging the brush along the wooden planks with a look of intense concentration. Just then, Ben Rogers came down the street, munching on an apple and imitating the sound of a steamboat. Ding dong, clear the track, Ben shouted. He noticed Tom and stopped. Hello, old chap, what's up? Work, replied Tom gloomily, dipping his brush into the whitewash again. Work? What do you call work? Why, ain't that work? Said Tom, pointing at the fence. Well, maybe it is, and maybe it ain't. All I know that it suits Tom Sawyer. Tom ignored him and kept painting, pretending not to notice Ben's interest. Say, Tom, you don't mean to tell me you like it? Like it? Tom stopped his brush mid-stroke and looked at Ben. Well, I don't see why I ought not to like it. Does a boy get a chance to whitewash a fence every day? Ben looked puzzled. Why? Isn't it just a fence? Tom leaned back and surveyed his work critically. Well, maybe it is, but it's not every day you get a chance to make something look this fine. Aunt Polly wouldn't just trust anyone with this job, you know. Ben's interest grew. He took another bite of his apple. Say, Tom, let me try a little. Tom hesitated, pretended to think it over. No, I reckon it would hardly do, Ben. You see, Aunt Polly's mighty particular about this fence. Right here on the street. If it was a back fence, maybe, but this one's different. Oh, come on, Tom. I'll be careful. I'll give you the rest of my apple. Tom sighed and put on a reluctant expression. Well, I suppose I could let you try, but you've got to be careful then. You don't want to mess it up. Sure, Ben said, eagerly handing over the apple and grabbing the brush. Tom stepped back as Ben went to work while Tom was munching on his apple with a grin. Soon the other boys came by and Tom repeated his performance, trading turns at the brush for some marbles, a tin soldier, and even a kite string. By the end of the afternoon, the fence had 3 coats of whitewash and Tom had a pile of treasures. He leaned back, marveling at his genius. There is nothing like making a boy want what he can't have, he muttered, smiling to himself. Now, I'll be moving on to task 4, which is expressive reading on Bernie's Bob's a Hare by F. Scott Fitzgerald. While Marjorie was breakfasting late next day, Bernice came into the room with a rather formal good morning, sat down opposite, and stared intently over while slightly moistening her lips. What's on your mind? Inquired Marjorie, rather puzzled. Bernice paused before she threw her hand grenade. I heard what you said about me to your mother last night. Marjorie was startled, but only showed a faint, heightened color, and her voice was quiet. Even when she spoke. Where were you? In the hall. I didn't mean to listen at first. After an involuntary look of contempt, Marjorie dropped her eyes and became very interested in balancing a stray cornflake in her finger. I guess I better go back to out there, if I'm such a nuisance. Bernice's lower lip was trembling violently, and she continued on a wavering note. I've tried to be nice, and I've been first neglected and then insulted. No one ever visited me and got such treatment. Marjorie was silent. But I'm in the way, I see. I'm a drag up on you. Your friends don't like me. She paused and then remembered another one of her grievances. Of course, I was furious last week when you tried to hit me that the dress was unbecoming. Don't you think I know how to dress myself? Oh, murmured Marjorie, less than half aloud. What? I didn't hint anything, said Marjorie succinctly. I said, as I remember, that it was better to wear a becoming dress 3 times straight than to alternate it with 2 frights. Do you think that was a very nice thing to say? I wasn't trying to be nice. Then, after a pause, when do you want to go? Now, I'll be proceeding on to task 5, reflection.
Section 1, Question 1. How did you connect to your character's emotional journey through one of your performances?
Okay, so according to me, I very well connected to Greta Thunberg's speech at the UN Action Climate Summit as I immersed into a feeling of urgency and frustration at the time. Greta's words, "How dare you?" reflects anger and disappointment. So I changed my tone so it could be a passionate one. And I slowed down these lines to emphasize their weight. While for the world is waking up and change is coming, I used a more optimistic tone. I also used pauses and gestures to underline key points. Next question.
Question 2. What did you do in preparation and rehearsal to help you bring the words, characters of one of your pieces off the page?
Okay. So, according to me, in the preparation and rehearsal in task 3, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain. In that, I focused on bringing Tom and Ben to life. First, I read the script aloud many times to practice different tones, incantations. Then, I stood up in the mirror after I memorized it and practiced many times. I also recorded the video so that I feel confident. I also took feedback from my teachers who helped me throughout the course. So, all these steps helped me give a smooth delivery and bring my characters to life. Next question.
Section 2, Question 3. What did you do to keep your voice and body safe for an effective performance?
Oh, okay. So, starting off, for my task 1, I made sure to let the rhythmic flow go through. I made sure that I avoid yelling, otherwise, it would break the flow in an instant. While keeping my tone a cautious one. Task 2, Greta Thunberg's speech. Kept my voice a steady and passionate one while using hand gestures when necessary. For task 3, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, I used expressive hand gestures while keeping different varying tones for each of the characters, Tom and Ben. Task 4, expressive reading. Bernice bobs her hair. I. Yeah. I kept a steady vocal tone, of course, while differentiating between Marjorie and Bernice, and used expressive hand gestures and kept the sheet wherein my body was visible. Next question.
Section 3, question number 5. What challenges does the chosen style of writing of one of your pieces present vocally?
Okay. Ah. So, according to me, it would be that the poem Television by Roald Dahl posed the biggest vocal challenge. As first, I had to keep in mind the rhythm, the humor, and the unusual tone, which at one point had lightheartedness. Then the next moment, you see, it's serious caution. As I would say, it rots the sense in the head, it kills imagination dead. It required a sharp, almost exaggerated delivery. Then, for the rhythmic flow, I had to avoid yelling, and I had to even control my breathing and my articulation so that the poem, which relies heavily on the rhythm, would flow. Thank you.